Did you know that someone will form an opinion about you within 7 to 27 seconds of meeting you for the first time? This means whether it's an interview or an important meeting at work or even your next date, the first few seconds are crucial and important to how someone will perceive who you are. Not who you actually are, but how they will perceive who you are. There was a cool study done by Princeton University where they polled people about first impressions, and I'll share some of the highlights from the study. But 85% stated that their first impression will be more positive if the person smells good. I agree with that one. I think that's awesome. 76% admit that a smile is the most important attribute to making a positive first impression. I remember I did an interview where the interviewer just wouldn't smile, and it was really eerie, and they were asking me all these questions, and I went through the interview process like normal. I was like, okay, cool. But I remember walking out of that interview and was like, if that is a reflection of what this job is going to be like, if that person is a reflection of how this job will go, I hope I don't get the job. And so smile more. People really do notice. 69% stated that they form an opinion of someone before the person even speaks. Now, this might go back to the 85% with the smell, right? If somebody smells poorly, you don't have to say a word. People are forming an opinion. But if you are, this is going to go along with the visual cues, right? How somebody dresses, how somebody walks, are they slouching, are they on their cell phone? All those things are visual cues that help us make an opinion about somebody on that first impression. 68% of people believe they can read people really well. This one we're going to come back to because 54% believe that their first impression of somebody is usually correct, meaning that they think something about this person and then they end up basically becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy and they end up being right. But I wanted to go back to that 68% of people believe they can read people well. I think this is something that's come along over the last 10 years or so. I've seen it kind of boom a lot more with social media because we do this all the time on social media. We will see somebody post a photo or post a video or post a post on social media, and we will immediately form opinions about this person, who they are, what they're like in real life, and all this stuff, even though we've never met them, we've most likely never had a conversation with them, and we most likely don't know anybody who knows them in person in real life. And so is it really fair that we're coming up with these opinions of these people as if we're reading what they actually are like when we know nothing about them other than their social media posts, right? So many people are they're reading people based on their social media posts. But I think you and I both know we are not what our social media says we are. It's just facts, right? You can post as much as you want and you can share as much as you want. But for the most part, people aren't going to know the internal battles and the closeness or have a actual friendship with you through social media, because those are reserved for the opportunities when you actually have a deep conversation. And most people are very surface level. And even in social media, everything has a caveat. Everything has, a clarifying, I just need to make sure that everybody's accepted and understood. And I want everybody to, agree with me or understand that I may disagree, and it's okay. I do the same thing. I've caught myself throughout this podcast saying the same thing. And honestly, I've struggled with this, with social media in particular, because I'm not who my social media says that I am. I'm just not. And I post these clips. I post a lot of, posts about things. But for a while there, over the last few months, I haven't posted anything. Because last year I was posting every day I went to the gym. I mean, it was like 6 days a week. I was posting every morning I went to the gym. It's grind time or get to work or, TGIF, whatever I would post, in walking into the gym. And for a lot of it, it was accountability. You all kept me accountable. And so I felt like I should. But then there got to this point where I was like, I can't keep this up realistically because I'm not able to keep this up realistically. Who I am as a person is going through some things. And so I stopped going to the gym for a while. I really struggled because I wanted to go to the gym, but I was in a different headspace. I had to deal with some internal things that I started working on with myself to grow and to get to where I'm at now. And hopefully I'll continue to grow throughout the rest of the year. But I would post all those things and then I just stopped because I recognized I can't keep doing this. I'm going to not only let you down, but I'm going to let me down as well. And it's not realistic. It's not who I actually am. I'm not somebody who's in the gym 6 days a week, grinding like crazy. Now, I've done that in the past for certain periods of time, and I think that that's good. But I'm not that person all the time. And I didn't want to be fake, and I had to come to the grips with I'm not the person who I say I am on social media. And I hope you guys understand that and show me grace in the fact that I don't know who you are. And even though I follow a lot of you on social media, I don't know if that's the real you. And I think that when you put your head on the pillow at night, a lot of people who follow you on social media don't know your internal battles that you're struggling with. They may know the external portion, but not the internal portion, which leads me back to the first impressions, right? We want to be accepted. We want people around us to like us. And so we put out tons of first impressions all the time on social media. We put first impressions whenever we're walking in the grocery store or whenever we're dating, or if you're online dating, your profile is a first impression. I read there was an article where they studied women on Hinge spend around 3.19 seconds on profiles they find attractive before swiping right. They double that, spending 6.91 seconds on less appealing profiles before swiping left. It's very interesting in that they take longer, even though they're less attracted and they swipe left. And for the people they are more attracted to, 3.19 seconds. That's 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi swiping. So that's your first impression, by the way, if you're a guy on a dating platform, a social media dating platform, right? Like the dating apps, which is wild, right? Which means that the guys on the dating platforms, they have to have pictures that are professionally taken. They have to wear certain clothes. They have to have certain prompts that trigger that thought process of 3.19 seconds to swipe right. Blows my mind. We could have a whole conversation about that, but we won't. We're going to get back into first impressions and how we view ourselves and how we present ourselves, and then what's actually taking place. When we're providing the first impressions, we spend a lot of energy on what we wear, how we look, right? Whether we have hair or not, we might focus on like a beard. We want to be presentable. I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to set out to have first impressions. In buying or selling houses, I have a couple friends who do realty, and they're realtors. And so they sell houses. One of the key factors of a house that sells, and one of the statistics, is curb appeal. And curb appeal is how a house looks on the outside, right? So somebody drives by this house, it has a for sale sign. The house looks beautiful. Maybe it has a beautiful lawn. The garden's all done. Fresh coat of paint on the house. Everything looks beautiful. It all makes sense. That's curb appeal. And statistics show that it actually ups the price of the house. So houses with really high curb appeal sell for a higher amount usually. And then they also up the close ratios as well. So they sell more and they sell for higher whenever they have curb appeal. And so we do the same with personal curb appeal, right? We do the same. We want to have a fresh coat of paint. Our fresh coat of paint might be a new shirt. It might be something stylish. It might be new shoes, right? You get the new Nikes or, whatever your style is. And I found it interesting. I was talking with a friend that her sister is single and going through the dating scene, and she's around my age. She's in another state. And so we're kind of in that same area or same zone of like dating range. And my friend said that her biggess struggle, or one of her biggest struggles, is that when she meets somebody, one of the biggest red flags is how men dress, or how a guy dresses when she meets them. And style is really important to her. And I kind of thought about that for a little bit. I was like, I understand that. I've definitely gone out and I've changed my wardrobes for people before, trying to look the part and be accepted, because it's easy to change the coat of paint on the outside of the house, right? If our body is a temple or our body is the house, it's easy to change that coat of paint. I would gladly go and be like, hey, if you like this shirt, I will buy this shirt. If you like these pants, I'll buy these pants, whatever, because I want you to look at me as a viable option. I want women to say, oh, you look good in this. You smell good, you look good, and I want to be one of those people. 3.19 seconds, right? So we focus on all of this, and I just find it interesting that we will focus on the external so much and less on the internal. And so what ends up happening is people will focus very much on the curb appeal side of their lives, right? They will renovate the outside. They'll put, new sod in, whether they're using diets or exercise or clothes or style or, Ozempic, whatever they might be using. They want to be accepted. Some people will, have piercings or tattoos to fit in with a certain group or a certain crowd, which you can believe whatever you want to believe on those things. I just find it very interesting when I watch people, how they alter little bits on the external sides of things while the internal seems to continue to wrestle. And the reason I know this is because I've had this conversation with myself. I continue to have this conversation with myself. I had it before I started recording. I have a cheap $5 watch band for my Apple Watch from Amazon, and it's a nylon, it's comfortable. And before I started recording, I got out my nice watch band that I have that I can clip on. It's metal. It looks really professional and nice. It just makes me feel a little bit more presentable, if that makes sense. I literally was like, hey, I should switch the watch band. You can't even see my watch most of the time. It's down here. So like, why, right? But it just goes to show that we struggle with these things on the external sides. But they're usually a symptom of internal struggle and internal. So I started asking myself this question whenever I was worried about the external, whether it was a new shirt or new shoes that I wanted, or how I looked. I remember when I shaved my head, because it doesn't grow up here. When I got to the point where I shaved my head, I really had to battle with how people would perceive me. Oh, if I shaved my head, I hung on to my hair for as long as I could. But as soon as it's thinned to a point, I remember I asked the hairstylist, I was like, how long do I have? As if it was like an illness. And she was like, I think you have one more cut. And it just her delay, I was like, cut it off. We're done. I had a lot of fun with it. But I really struggled with the perception of how people would perceive me if I was this younger guy in his 20s who didn't have hair. Now, of course, I rock it and it is who I am, but I still think about the beard. How does the beard look? Clothes. Am I wearing stuff that makes sense? Is it stylish? Is it comfortable? Because that's what I focus on most, is comfort. I would love to wear nice, stylish clothes, but I definitely want to wear more comfortable clothes than anything, because life is too short. And I'd really, as much as I want to look good, I want to look good and I want to feel good as it. Like feeling good is great. So when we look at the external portion, this is where I've struggled most in my life, is I've always wanted to fit in. So I've done all the curb appeal things I could do, put fresh coats of paint, changed what I wore, changed how I talked, changed how I dressed. Any of those quick, easy external things that I can just adapt and change. And maybe you're like that too. But it's usually a symptom of the fact that there's internal stuff that's going on. And I think this is why a lot of people have surface level friendships. More and more people that I meet have less and less deep friendships that are the ride or die friends. The people who you can call at 3 a.m. and legitimately call at 3 a.m. and they're going to show up. right? I think everybody says that they have a 3 a.m. friend, but we don't often use the 3 a.m. friend. And I think you should challenge some of your friends, and not in like a rude way, but maybe throughout the day, start asking them deeper questions when you go out, if you're hanging out. Ask them if they've battled with depression. Ask them how they respond to certain conversations or certain emotions that come up throughout the week. Get to that deeper level. And I think the reason why people don't have those deep conversations is everybody is so focused on the external that they invite people into the yard of their home. They invite people out at that surface level and they say, yeah, hang out here. But they're afraid to invite people in, because when you invite people in, they see all of the mess and all of the renovations and the things that are just torn to bits from the chaos. When you lay your head on the pillow at night and your brain goes crazy thinking about all of the possibilities and all of the stress and anxiety and the fears and the dark things that go on in your brain, it's hard to let people in. And that's something that the last few months I've really been focusing on, the internal portion. And how can I build a space that is safe for people where I can share without overwhelming somebody? I can say, look, come on in. By the way, foyer's all good. We've done some renovations. We've done work here. Kitchen's good. Let's hang out here. Living room's good. We can hang out. Just letting you know, there are still some rooms in the back that are a mess. Just, I want to preface that. But I can share a little bit up here. Let's get to the root of things. Let's involve each other in life. Let's do it. And it's the number one lesson is we can't do life alone. We went through COVID just a couple years ago, and the isolation ripped people, marriages, friendships, working relationships, jobs to shreds. It hurt so many people on an emotional and mental level because they were isolated and they couldn't have that one-on-one or small group or that bigger opportunity to just say, hey, come on over. It'll be fun. Let's grill out. Let's do this. Let's do that. There stopped being some of those neighborhood meetings where you would go down a cul-de-sac and just see kids playing with each other. That's the type of thing that really impacts me, is because I'm hoping that through our conversations and through this year that we can really challenge ourselves. So the next time you're wondering, why do I want to wear that watch? Why do I want that new shirt? Why do I want those new shoes? Challenge yourself. What's the core reason? Is it because I want to make a good first impression, which is fine? Or is it because I want to be accepted and I'm ignoring the fact that there are things going on inside that I don't want people to see? I want them to look on the outside, almost like a magic trick, right? Look over here, don't look over here. We do that so often, and I do that so often. And I really want to challenge us to where we say, I want people to see me for who I am, which often means that I have to present myself and, yes, make a good first impression. 7 seconds, 7 to 27 seconds. But I want to make sure that I have the depth to be able to have, and the curb appeal to say, yep, these 7 seconds first impression, but come on inside as well. Come on inside into my life. Let me share a little bit about what I'm struggling with. Feel comfortable to share about what you're struggling with. And if you don't want to share, that's okay. I've got cookies, I've got food, I've got drinks. Let's have a good time. And maybe one of these days you'll share a little bit about yourself. And those are the internal conversations I've been having with myself, is how do I create that safe space? And a lot of it comes down to focusing on that internal change. And what has happened is when you focus on that internal change, the more healing you do internally, the more you'll say yes to external opportunities. So I've had friends invite me out, and you and I both know when you're depressed or when you're full of anxiety and anxious and people invite you, you'll isolate yourself and say, oh no, like I'm tired. And, I'm just going to go home. But when you're healed or healing and in a good place mentally, and they say, hey, come out. Let's go hang out. Let's go spend time together. You say, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. You say yes to so much more when you have focused on it to where you don't feel like when you get home, the internal portion of your brain is just ripped to shreds and you're overthinking 24/7. So I know that this conversation has gone from first impressions to curb appeal to the internal workings of who we are. And I think that's exactly where I wanted it to go, to be honest, because at the end of the day, right, the truth will set you free. I truly believe that. I've said it since the beginning of this podcast. If you accurately view your past, if you accurately view yourself, that truth will set you free to be able to walk freely. And when you say, you know what, I have some rooms that it's a pretty big mess, you might actually see that, okay, yeah, 2 of the rooms are a mess, but you've done a lot of work in the kitchen area and in the other areas of your life. Sometimes we overwhelm ourselves thinking about one specific spot is a mess right now. You know, maybe you're struggling with work, but you're having a great time with your relationships. Maybe you're having a horrible time in your marriage, but you're doing really well in work. And you just need to kind of refocus. Say, you know what? I'm cleaning the kitchen for the 16th time. Maybe I need to actually put in some work on these other areas as well. Because I think we all want to be accepted. We all want to feel like we belong somewhere. And so we are willing to change the external as much as we can. And we will change the things that we think we can control, and we'll leave the things we think we can't. And sometimes we know we can change that little bit inside, but it's just easier to put a fresh coat of paint on the outside, invite people over, and just keep them in the yard. I still can't believe the amount of time and effort I've poured into my career, my jobs, my friends. And in my 20s, I poured so much time into building skills. And now I look back and I realize all of those times when I was really isolated and really feeling alone, and even more recently, when I really felt like I wasn't living up to what I believe God has called me to do in life and what I believe is my purpose in life, all of those times revolve around the fact that I didn't want to invite people in because I was afraid of how they would perceive me. I wouldn't go out because I didn't want to give off a bad first impression. So I took myself out of the equation. There may be a time this week where you meet somebody for the first time. Maybe you're going on a date. Maybe you have a job interview. Maybe you have some project that you're working on at work, or you have a big meeting with a client that you're working at work. You're going to meet somebody new. And my challenge to you is 7 to 27 seconds. Smile, smell good, put yourself together, put your best foot forward. Give the other person some grace as well. Instead of formulating your opinion of them in 27 seconds, give them 60 seconds. Double that time. Give them a moment to speak. Give them some grace that other people haven't given you before. Because I promise that as you build that relationship and as you give them the opportunity, you might find out that this is the person, or these are the people that you're supposed to do business with, or this is supposed to be the person who you ask out on that second date. This is the person who you want to pursue something more with. Give them the option and give them the opportunity by not throwing an opinion of them within the first 7 seconds before they even speak, because you just might find out that they are going through something as well. And the more you invite them in, the more you share with them, the more they may share with you. And that is what relationships are all about. So I really appreciate all of you who listen to this podcast. Again, like I said, I know it's been a little bit shoddy over the last few weeks, but bear with me, please. This is not my first rodeo, and it definitely won't be the last one that I miss. But it will definitely be more consistent I do believe that they're going to be switching to Mondays. I don't know yet. But yeah, we're still working. We're still posting as much as we can. A lot going on in my life, and I appreciate all of you. I hope that you're doing well. If you need any prayer, please hit me up in the DMs. I'm more than happy to pray for you. If you want to share a little bit about what you're going through, if you ever have any topics that you want me to talk about, I love researching, listening to podcasts, reading books, and learning about studies about certain topics. So if you want me to talk about something specific, let me know. I'd love to. Thank you all so much. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.